Welcome to another podcast about geek culture in a medium already saturated with everything nerds love and crave. It's the Lunatic Parade podcast. Fuck this, let's do it! Do it!
And we are rolling. Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Lunatic Parade podcast, brought to you by First Table Gaming. I am Trent, and I'm here with Stormy.
Hey, guys.
And Bob.
How we doing tonight?
I think everybody's doing good. So, exciting day today. It's just the three of us. The trio. I tried to say trio, but said trio instead.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
Well done. Little trinity of terror going on in here today. Kurt's out. He had penis enlargement surgery, so unfortunately couldn't make it today.
I heard it was quick.
Yeah, I know. It was too. No, he actually, he had some medical procedures that had to happen, so he's not with us, and Tim is still on the tail end of his bringing a human into the world experience, so... You know, Tim should be here in another week or two.
It normally doesn't take this long, does it?
Well, you know, the birthing part doesn't take long. The whole, you know, the whole nothing but eating, pooping, and sleeping for a month straight is still going on. So
and this whole birthing a human, that's not his first human that was birthed.
That's true, yeah.
He's doing the right thing by helping his wife.
Yeah, exactly. You know, she did all the birthing parts, and Tim's there to go, okay, what can I do for you now? Like,
I know this is my fault. How can I help?
Exactly. Anyways, we are here today to talk about some stuff. So, what are we going to start off with? Why don't you start us off, Stormy?
Awesome. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is character evolution. Everybody's like, character evolution. I'm creating this character, and that's my character. Well, I got some news for y'all peoples. It don't ever just stay that one character.
Now, I'm curious as to what... Can you explain a little bit about why this came up as a topic that you're interested in talking in this week?
The recent campaign we're playing, I'm playing Brenda. And my character, how do I say this? Last gaming session, I had no fun.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anybody's fault, any player's fault. It definitely wasn't Tim's fault. I think it had to do with the character. My character, the little bit say, is a barbarian, Minotaur Sage. And the way we took the story we gave it a Hulk story. So Brenda was very ashamed of her Minotaur side. So she went to the Azura Senate, and they made her this amulet that contained her rage. It contained her Minotaur side. And then when she got angry and raged out, she turned into this angry, tall fucking Minotaur, kind of like the Hulk. Well, Tim came into DM and we're fighting these gods. Well, one of the gods we decided to take it the route where Kyrick would take her Minotaur side from her. Sabrick. She no longer needed the amulet.
You do that all the time.
I know I do.
He's always getting credit for shit he didn't do.
I know, exactly, right?
So what I did was I decided to dual class into a cleric. And I think I concentrated too much on the cleric side and not so much on the barbarian side. And I lost interest. Saturday, we always play Friday. Saturday, I was determined that I was going to fucking kill Brenda. I didn't want to play her no more. I was like, fuck this shit. And it all has to go back with the decisions you make. Tim never told me I had to have my Minotaur side taken.
Right.
That was a player's choice.
Yeah, that was a choice.
That was my choice. And then I was like, okay, I'm not going to kill her. I'm going to turn her into this evil fucking barbarian. Well, that don't work in the group that I'm in because they're all, I'm going to do good. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So playing some kind of evil character would not go well in this campaign.
Yeah, I was wondering how that was going to go with my lawful good cleric. I'm like going, she's turning evil.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this should get interesting. That's the same thing I was thinking.
So, me and Trent sat down on Saturday after I'm going to kill Brenda. I'm not going to kill Brenda. I'm going to kill Brenda. No, maybe I should just do this. So he gave me a really...
It was literally like that on Saturday. Yeah. I swear to God.
So then he gave me an idea. And I don't want to go into the road I'm going to take, because I want it to be a surprise to the players. But I found a way to play her to where she is still a good character. What would she be? Chaotic,
like,
lawful?
Yeah, it's kind of chaotic. Like she I think you have been, and as a new player, it totally makes sense, have been confusing evil with chaotic. You know what I mean? Like, and that happens very, very. It happens all the time with new players, because like a chaotic character is something that is less based and bound by law, whereas evil is fucking Taleon, who cuts people's fingers off and burns people alive.
I'm more of a chaotic good thing but I want to tell everybody because it's so fucking awesome.
It's tomorrow night. You get to surprise everybody tomorrow night.
I found a way to correct my bad decisions, because when it comes to character evolution, nobody in your campaign can tell you how to run your character. Not even the DM. You don't like what the DM's doing? Fucking kill your character and roll up a new one. It's very simple.
Right.
But it's just, it can, especially for new players who don't understand that the decisions you make can affect you later on down the road. Mm-hmm. That's something that should be explained to new players.
I agree 100%. And the thing is that you have hit the wall that all of us have hit whenever we started playing, and that was you learn to play the game, and you think you understand what it means to play a character in Dungeons and Dragons. And then you get to a point where you realize, okay, wait a minute now. I can start to do something different here. What choices can I make? I'm not playing a video game here. You know what I mean? I have complete custom control over this. And it's like, you made decisions. I'm not going to correct you, but I'm going to say I don't agree with you in the fact that you said you made bad decisions. I don't think you made any bad decisions. You were feeling things out because you're finally at a level as a player to where you understand the game well enough that the mechanics of rolling dice and how you level up and what this means and what an action means and what a save means is not something you need to keep in your head anymore, because it's become second nature. So now you're starting to get to the point with, okay, well, like, who is Brenda? What does Brenda do? And you started realizing the way that you've been playing Brenda is not you. It's not what you want Brenda to be. And I think that's a really important thing for people to learn. The problem is it's hard to tell somebody that out the gate. Right. You know what I mean? It's hard to say that from the beginning, because there's so much shit you have to keep in your head in the beginning that you're trying to keep straight, that trying to understand that you're making choices that are going to affect your character development is difficult.
Yeah.
Think of becoming a cleric as your lesbian phase in college.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't hit my lesbian phase till I was out of college.
But regardless, think about it like a lesbian phase. That's a very, very eloquently put, Bob. That's fucking fantastic. Yeah, no, I think character evolution's great, man. Like when I first put Dorn together, the idea behind Dorn was I wanted to play this kind of sneaky. My thought through my head went military sniper. That's what I wanted, I wanted to create somebody who would hide in the shadows, the ranger who's not necessarily a scout, a ranger who could, since we're in Ravnica and started in Ravnica, could climb buildings and find a fortified hidden position and take shots from a distance and do damage. But as we progressed forward, Dorn became a different character. He just kind of grew into this weird kind of, this guy who's kind of on the fence between really wanting to protect everybody and do the right thing and just murdering everyone. You know what I mean? Like, just because he keeps making dumb decisions, like trying to strangle a half dragon with a bow, and getting half of his face melted.
That was a dumb decision.
That was a dumb decision.
He was very much the Hound.
Yeah, exactly. But, his evolution as a character, though, has been great, and I even went through this recently because, like, when we hit 6th, I think, or no, we just leveled up to 7th. I was looking, and I'm like,
we're leveling up to 9th.
Well, I know we're headed up to 9th now, but back when we leveled up to 7th, I was like, kind of bored playing Dorn. You know what I mean? Like, because in the beginning he was great because he did tons of burst damage, but now that we're at higher level creatures and higher CR ratings, yeah, that burst of 35, 40 points of damage right out the gate is cool, but when the creature has 300 hit points, doesn't really mean much. No. You know,
Yeah.
so it's like I'm starting to get a little bored with him, and we're out of that city environment that I built him for, which is where I really wanted to play around with that. You know, I'm going to scour up the side of a building unseen and fucking hide in the shadows and snipe people by surprise. And then I decided to take him I started leveling up as a rogue. And that started adding a level to that character that I was missing. You know what I mean? I started him as a ranger and have turned him into more of an assassin now. You know what I mean? He's kind of headed down that road. So I dig it, man. But I agree. I mean, character development's
Beware,
huge.
Brenda. He just admitted he's turning himself into Taleon.
No. I attempted to kill Taleon
Several times.
several times.
No, I don't want to be an asshole that just butt fucks the game. That's what Taleon was. No, I'm not interested in that. I'm going to play a rogue like an actual rogue.
You can do that?
Yes, it's possible. You can pick pockets and pick locks and check for traps and do all those neat things that rogues are supposed to do.
But we don't need somebody to do that because I find all that with my hit points.
Exactly. Yeah, you just check it all with your hit points. But I mean, Bob, what do you think about character development and character evolution? I mean, how important is that? Like, as you were building, I know with you kind of go into a character knowing what that character is going to be.
I do, and I knew where I was. I'm backwards. I plan my character from 20 backwards. I know where I want him to be, and I make decisions on how to get there. Like I was talking about the other night, I've already got my next 3 feats planned out. So I've already got character leveling done through level 16.
Right.
And we're just becoming 9.
Right.
Although the next, I don't know, dozen or so characters I play will not be dwarves. They're all starting to merge in my head, and I'm playing Anan too much like Kyric.
Right.
And it's like he may have his axe, but they are totally different people, and I need a break from the dwarf.
Right.
I probably need a break from the cleric too. At
Right.
that point.
Yeah.
I've been playing the cleric just because the party needs a cleric, and I let everybody else play what they want to play, and I pick up what's left.
Right.
I need to go back to my roots. I need to pick up an old school druid or a wizard.
Yeah.
And Tim be damned.
Yeah, no, right, exactly. Yeah, no, man. I mean, I noticed that with you though, because like we played several different games with you, and like you do seem to. I don't see characters evolve with you because it's like it seems to me like not that you're not evolving them, but you already have the evolution planned at the moment of rolling. Like you're like, this is exactly how I'm going to take this character. You know what I mean? Like I've rarely seen you change paths on a character as you play.
I contemplated it on this one just because with 5th edition, I don't like the fact that a cleric doesn't get 2 attacks ever.
Yeah, that's fucked up. That's messed up.
I was going to pick up a few levels of paladin, but my DM graciously allowed my weapon to level up with me, and it's going to grant me a 2nd attack, which will give me a little more freedom of choice.
You know, which would make sense. You know what I mean? Because like, I mean, you shouldn't have to lose levels in another class just because you want to gain a 2nd attack. And I do think that's kind of messed up that the cleric class doesn't get a 2nd one. And you know, like I think because I mean, even Kurt's freaking halfling fucking warlock has 2 attacks per round. You know what I mean? Like, why would you not get unless they're trying to push the cleric to specifically to a healer? But every time I've ever played with a cleric, clerics are usually tanks. You know what I mean? They need to be able to dish out a little bit of damage. Yes, they heal the party, but they're usually in the front absorbing hits. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know. Maybe I've been playing paladins wrong or clerics wrong this entire time, you know?
And I think that all comes back from where we started gaming with Durak. Durak was probably had the most hit points. Durak was a cleric from our 2nd edition campaign where we was during the Dragonlance campaign, and he was a bit of a whore dwarf, to put it lightly.
Yeah.
But he probably had more hit points than the fighters in the group.
Yeah, exactly. But Bob, too, at the same time, you've always played character. I have never seen you play a character that sits in the back and throws things at people. You've always been that one. I'm going to walk up and hit it in the face.
Wait till I start playing a wizard.
Yeah, see, I can't wait to see you do that because I'm just used to you being that I'm going to walk up, let it hit me, and I'm going to hit it back, you know, kind of character.
Let's trade punches and see who does better.
Yeah, exactly.
It's usually me.
Right. That's interesting that you're looking to get away from the dwarves, you know? Like, I'm thinking about that, too. Like, I play a lot of humans. It's usually what I do, and I take it mainly because of the fact that they get that extra feat at first level. Man, that's huge. I mean, with Dorn, that gave me the stuff that allowed him to take. I think it was Dreadful Ambusher at first level. Oh no, the sniping shot at first level, which gave me a 1d8 plus 15 shot at first level, dude. You know what I mean? Which made it powerful as all get out. But I'm interested to head a different direction too. The problem is I can't seem to figure out a race I want to play.
See, I kind of want to play a druid next.
Well, that's class. That's not race.
Okay.
But still, yeah, druids.
I want to play a druid next.
I think a druid would be cool. I think the druids in 5th edition look awesome.
They do. They, like I said, that's on my list.
Yeah.
We just have to start another campaign. So you want to clear up another night in your schedule? We'll play one more.
Tell you what, I'll just stop sleeping on Wednesdays.
That'll work.
That works. Yeah, we can just do it then.
I already don't sleep on Wednesday, so it's all right.
No, I mean, it's true, you know. And it does get complicated, I think, sometimes, too, when you go for a long campaign like this, because, you know, like, Tim is doing amazing. I don't want to take anything away from him. This is an engrossing and enthralling campaign that I'm really enjoying. But it's my ADD, dude. I'm kind of like, all right, I'm ready to roll up something different and play something else. You know what I mean?
Well, I put it out on Saturday when I was doing that flip-flop. I'm going to kill Brenda. I'm not going to kill Brenda. I'm going to kill Brenda. I'm not going to kill Brenda. I actually put it out on Twitterverse and I said, has anybody ever played a character for so long that I told them I was playing Brenda for about a year and she's just not fun to play anymore. Has anybody killed one of their characters before? And somebody brought up a really good idea that I think is good to try. Now, whether your DM allows it or not, but the one girl she suggested is, you know, when you start to get bored with the character, send Brenda on some other fucking mission, whatever, and put in another character.
Right.
And start doing it that way. So you're playing a couple with one while your other one's out doing sucking dick or whatever the fuck she's doing somewhere else.
If you want, I guess.
Well, I was even thinking, too, like, we could think about start alternating. You know what I mean? Like, this week we play Tim's campaign. The following week we play Dragon Heist or something like that. You know what I mean? And switching the games out on Friday nights.
I had thought about that, too. The only problem I have with that is because I'm really looking forward to playing the Dungeon of the Mad Mage.
Yeah.
I really am. If I start playing too many characters at once, they start merging.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's kind of a valid point. That's a good point.
They instead of having two separate personalities, they all have the same personality. And
right.
Like,
yeah, that's true. And we're moving pretty quickly through Tim's stuff. I mean, we're already up to level 9. And we're, I'm thinking, like 3 of his campaign out of 5 legs. So, you know, I mean, I guess we'll just have to hold off, and we'll probably do the Dungeon of the Mad Mage next year then, and whatever else. But
I was gonna say, unless we want to play a long one day, you know, like
that would be cool. One shot.
Yeah,
just sit down and roll up some like 1st or like 5th level characters or something like that, and just go, hey, we're gonna play a 12-hour game today that's just a one shot and run through something fun, you know, or.
See, the problem with a 12-hour campaign, though, is getting everybody with 12 hours free.
That's true. That's a valid point.
On Twitter, I'm very active on Twitter. And I always post about our game nights, and I try and help as many people as I can, especially new ones. And there's these questions like, well, how long do you guys play? I'm like, well, from about 4:30 in the afternoon till about midnight. And they're like, oh my God, that is so long.
Right.
Like a lot of people, we are actually a very lucky group because a lot of people cut out at like 2 hours.
Yeah.
They're like, 2 hours, I'm done. And it's like,
in 2 hours, we barely had lunch.
Well, the problem is we sit down. Well, we also bullshit a lot during our campaign. We do. Like when we sit there and play, we always tangent off and start bullshitting about something for 20 minutes here and 15 minutes here. And, you know, the first hour and a half of game night is spent talking. You know what I mean? So we probably spend, I think, about 4.5 to 5 hours actually gaming.
I think you'll see it's different once I start recording it to do best ofs.
Yeah.
That it's different.
Right.
Like I get where you're coming from because this is something you love, and I love doing it too. So when it's game day, you get in the mindset of let's game. The only thing I want to do is game. Let's game. Shut the fuck up so I can roll these dice.
Pretty much.
So whenever somebody takes that from you, you think like hours go by, and it's not. It's like
probably,
10 minutes.
Yeah, you're probably right. I mean, you're probably 100% right. You know?
And there's nothing wrong with that. It's
Yeah.
like there's things that I do, and I enjoy rolling dice too. But I think I just screwed up. But it's okay.
You think you just screwed up what?
I'm not picking on anybody who likes to roll dice because I very much like to roll dice, and that's not what I was doing.
It's kind of what you were doing, but that was directed at me, so I'm used to you making fun of me, so that's okay.
But it wasn't meant to pick on you. It was meant to point out a fact that
I know.
we do game. A lot of that is game.
Right, yeah. I don't know. It feels like it isn't. So, I mean, like you say, once we record it, we'll see. But we kind of got off track there for a little bit.
And these are
At least
actually-
we're not talking about porn and getting off track.
You had to bring it up, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Porn all the way, baby.
I was actually told today by one of our listeners that episode 6 didn't have enough porn in it. So, anyway, and honestly, this is one of our 8 hours is one of our shorter games.
Yeah, it is.
Historically.
I mean, we used to
Yeah.
play 14, 15 hours back when we were younger, man. Like, I mean, we would start 7, 8 o'clock at night and play till the morning, you know, like sleep for an hour and go back at it, you know. It was, but at the same time, we're all older now, too. You know what I mean? I couldn't stay up past probably 2 a.m., man. I'd be my brain would be jello at that point. You know what I mean?
I could, but I rarely sleep.
Exactly. So. You already do that. So for you, you're used to it, you know?
Yeah.
I know when midnight hits and we're still rolling dice, I'm like...
Midnight. About
Yeah.
10:30, you start to waver.
I do not. It's about midnight, and I'm like, okay.
It also depends on how mad at Aiden she is.
Exactly. Or at Dorn. Or at her husband. So one of those three.
I don't get mad at Aiden. I get mad at Trent.
Exactly.
Oh, no. I mean, I don't get mad at Dorn. I get mad at... See, it's names.
Yeah.
There's something with Stormy and names,
Yeah,
dude.
I know. I'll tell
But
you what.
Aiden... Dude, let me tell you what Aiden does. Aiden likes to go run in head first to dragons and expect everybody to follow him without getting a clear, concise picture of what the fuck they're going to do. He just charges in head first.
Well, he is a dwarf with an axe that hates dragons.
Absolutely. The DM literally passed me a note and said, "That's a dragon."
Yeah.
I'm like, "Your axe wants to hit it." And I'm like going, I kind of want to hit it too.
Exactly.
I'm going to go hit it.
Yeah, I mean, even though that little thing that happened got separated up and it was very dangerous, it still, if you think about it, played out perfectly because you would have ran after the dragon.
Absolutely.
Dorn was shooting at the dragon.
And she, right on, it should have totally hit Taylor.
Yeah, because she hates him so much, her rage for being a barbarian took over, and she just started kicking the shit out of the guy that wasn't the biggest threat in the room, but she was going to kill the motherfucker regardless.
See, Bob understood that. Yeah. Aiden had a problem with it.
Exactly right.
Aiden wanted some backup.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny because I was going through some videos, and I had to chuckle when I was editing the video. Apparently, this has happened to you before, where you have charged head first and threatened a dragon, and your whole party was
hiding. Yes,
Yeah.
they were assholes.
Yeah, we all ran the other way.
And I was sitting there in the room, and somehow they all came up with this plan that they was going another fucking direction, and I don't remember any of it. I'm like, I turned around and went, "Where the fuck did they go?" The dragon went, "You and who else?"
Yeah, but you
Me,
usually
them.
ended up killing the dragon anyways. You know what I mean?
yeah.
This character's not as strong.
That's
as that
true.
one.
Yeah, that's true. But dragons aren't as strong as they were back then either.
This is This is true.
You know what? Real quick before we get off this topic, I kind of want to touch base on what you lean towards. Like, I am interested. So you say druid is the next character class you're interested in playing.
Yeah.
What do you think you're going to do next?
If she goes druid, I'll go wizard.
So you're going to play a wizard. See,
I'm actually thinking about changing that Loxodon because I like that class. I like that race.
yeah.
I want to play it because it's something I've never played before. A Loxodon is a half man. It's basically a centaur with an elephant body instead of a horse.
Yeah.
So, and that it's something new. It's shiny, and I want to play with it.
Right.
So, I may change him over to a wizard.
Nice. See, I think I might go. I'm thinking about going like the straight, like hardcore warrior route. I want to start playing with the warrior stuff and see what all it can do. Because I know, like, Tim plays Tiberius, who is a warrior that uses shields. And he does all these really cool things with these shields and actions and swift actions and all this weird shit he can do. I might go a warrior route. I might do that. I haven't decided yet, but I might go either warrior or I'm just going to say fuck it and go Captain Rogers Paladin and like fucking literally just break out my half-orc paladin that's just, paladin of Tyr, raised in the church, like fucking very well spoken, but he's giant and green,
And let me go back to why a druid. When that Saturday, when it was the do I kill Brenda or not kill Brenda day, I was looking up the book, reading in the book on how I can still play a barbarian type creature but still get the new gaming experience. So I looked up some online blogs, and a lot of them said druids and barbarians go hand in hand together.
Have you
so if I were to do like a druid to first level and then a barbarian to first level and then alternate them,
right.
They said that's the best way, especially for new people who aren't really sure of what they're doing. Instead of leveling something all the way up to 8 and then obviously taking this new one on that you're not sure what the fuck you're doing.
Right. Well,
they said it's easier if you do them.
Well, plus barbarian and druid mix. You know what I mean? Like, I can even just think about it because, druid to me, whenever I think of druid, I think Native American.
Yeah.
And then you think barbarian on top of it. It's like, if you think about it, it's a Native American warrior, really, when you think about it. That's what pops in my head whenever I think about a half barbarian, half druid.
See, I think Merlin.
So, yeah, true. Yeah.
The old Celt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that does make sense.
I enjoy playing a smashy character.
You do, and we talked about that on Saturday. It was like, when she finally realized she was focusing too much on the cleric, I'm like, when you were having fun playing this game was when you were running in and hitting things with your axe.
Like the dragon.
Exactly. So I think she's figured out a way that she's going to give it a try tomorrow night, and I think it's going to be awesome. So, all right, let's move on from this. Otherwise, we're going to sit here and talk about this the whole fucking time.
Trent, you're up. What are you?
Oh, you're going to give him? Oh, me?
Yeah,
you're going to let me go. Well, I guess let's talk about.
That's a demerit for Bob. Yes.
Yeah, it's okay, buddy. It's okay. Well, we might as well just keep in the vein of what we're talking about, and that is, let's go with the rogue one. So, one of the questions I wanted to pose to the group today is, what is a rogue in 5th edition? How do you play it? What are its mechanics? And one of the big things that I'm questioning is whether or not their sneak attack is too strong. So let's start off with what is a rogue. So, Bob, you probably have the most gaming experience at this table, and I think you probably read more game books and probably played more games than anybody I know. So why don't you define rogue for me?
Define a rogue. I think when I think rogue, I think you're quintessential, like, street-born thief.
Okay.
So that's what I think of first of all. So you're a low-level enforcer in a thieves guild, picking pockets, duping people, grifter type person.
Right.
That's what comes to mind.
Right.
At higher levels, you're practically invisible in a crowd.
Right, exactly. See, I think whenever I think of a rogue, I think it can be that street thief. But I also think like the master of deception, the con man, the spy, the person who's doing espionage for like a king. I still consider that a rogue in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where it gets cloudy because I think everybody immediately thinks, oh, you're a rogue. Okay, so your job is to pickpocket, steal shit, and check for traps. But I think you can play it differently than that.
You can play the charisma-based rogue.
Right.
I've actually had characters who played rogues that were diplomats.
Oh, see, that's awesome.
So they rarely did any pickpocketing, but it was all charisma-based skills.
Right, all deception and all that kind of stuff, yeah.
Which you got a little more of in Pathfinder because you had more skills to choose from.
Right. Like Kurt was talking too, his new dragon that he was talking, his new Dragonborn that he's talking about. He was talking about last week is going to be a strength based, which I think is very interesting because, like he was saying, you can actually have this attack to where you can actually knock somebody prone. So it's like if you knock somebody prone, this is going to lead us right into the sneak attack. If you can knock somebody prone with one of these attacks, then you should automatically get your sneak attack damage, because at that point you would have advantage on the roll. And according to the rule book, it says as long as you have advantage on the roll, you get sneak attack damage.
Absolutely.
I think that is way overpowered, because it's not a sneak attack. Just because you have advantage on it does not make it a sneak attack.
Absolutely.
See,
Because
when I think of sneak attack, I think of you are sneaking up behind somebody, or you are shooting them from above, or unseen.
And you're hitting a vital point. Absolutely. If they're laying prone on the ground, they still know you're attacking them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So how is that a sneak attack? So I mean, I think 5th edition has fucked this one up.
I don't think the damage from sneak attack is too powerful.
No.
But the mechanic for it is.
Well, once you get up in higher levels, dude, you get up to I think it's 12th or 14th level or somewhere around there. It hits 66. 66 plus 6.
Holy
is the
crap.
fucking sneak attack damage, dude. At max level, I'm pretty sure that's it at 20. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well that's a 6th level rogue. That's a 6th level wizard with a fireball.
Yeah, really?
66. You get fireball at 3rd level. And it's one. Well, I don't know. I haven't played it in 5th edition, but it was 1d6 per level. Starting with 3d6 at 5th level.
Well, I guess yeah, but the difference is as a wizard, you can use that fireball once.
Absolutely.
Yeah, as a rogue, I could sneak attack you every time I have advantage. I could do 66 plus 6.
Unless you play the wizard like I do.
Yeah, of course. I know. Bob's got his wizard special. But what I mean, from a rogue's perspective, if they get multiple attacks, as long as I have advantage on you, which, even if the enemy is in an encounter with another player, then I have advantage on them. So I could legitimately, every attack, get an additional 66 damage on it.
Yes, that like I said, the mechanic I believe is broken.
Yeah.
I can see it if you're truly flanking somebody. If you're truly flanking somebody, you're behind them. You can take that extra second to jam one of those blades in a kidney.
Yeah, exactly. Or in between the ribs, or slice a hamstring. You know what I mean? Like I can see that. I think it should be played. You're allowed 1 sneak attack damage per round. And that's only if you are coming from a flanking position. I don't think you should be able to just if you have advantage. Because the way the rules read, if mixed with like Kurt's dagger, if he was a rogue, he can fucking say the dark side of luck prevails, and fucking he has advantage on every roll for the entire encounter.
Right.
So that would, according to what the book rules say, he would literally get a sneak attack damage on every single attack, no matter what.
That's the same way if I use that glory from my.
Yeah.
I give advantage to everybody.
Exactly. The Clangeddon's glory or whatever that is. Yeah. So it's like, I don't know. I find it to be way overpowered. And I don't know. I think sneak attack's overpowered. I think the mechanic is broken, though. I agree with you. I don't know if the damage is too much, but
we definitely have to play it out. I mean, it's just like what we was doing with our game the other day.
Yeah.
It's like roll it out and see.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we might have to come up with a house rule on that one, just because but at the same time, I get it, because most of the time a rogue uses a freaking dagger, which is 1d4. So really, when you look at it, the only way they're going to be able to do significant damage is with that bonus sneak attack stuff. I just think being able to do it every attack in a round is a bit ridiculous.
But in a fight, the rogue's job is to get around behind somebody while the fighter is taking the brunt of the damage. The rogue gets around behind it, and his job is to end the fight.
Right, exactly. And then you mix that with like the assassin and the assassin archetype, and you throw that assassinate ability, which I'm about to get with Dorn. At that point, you have with assassinate, you have advantage on any attack against anybody who has not attacked you yet in the round or in the fight. You get your first attack against everyone is at an advantage, and if you hit somebody who is surprised, it's automatic critical, which we do max damage. So if you think about my current bow, would be 2d10, so it'd be 20 plus 66. So that'd be 56 points of damage in a single shot. From a sneak attack with him, which is going to be awesome. I'm going to turn him even into more of an assassin.
That's more than Storm's Fury does.
Exactly, I know. It's pretty insane. But that's if I would have to max his rogue, because I'm pretty sure it doesn't hit 66 till like 16 or 17.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? Until 16th or 17th level. But I think like now it's...
And by that point, a 56 points of damage versus an Elder Dragon is a drop in the bucket.
I didn't think there were Elder Dragons in 5th edition.
Let's not talk about that.
We don't want to talk about the dragons.
No.
There are 12 age categories, and I don't give a fuck what the book says.
Yeah, I have to agree with that.
I will build them if I have to.
Right, exactly. So what do you guys think? Like, we experienced, unfortunately, a person, which I'm sure he probably listens to this and never will talk to us again, but we experienced a rogue play that was, what's the word I'm looking for?
Oh, I was told to take the kids' gloves off last week, so just come out and say it.
It's shitty. It's a shitty rogue play. Like, I don't understand what he was trying to do with that rogue. Like, he didn't play it like a rogue.
First of all, he wasn't a rogue. He said he was an assassin.
An assassin is a rogue.
Right.
You know?
I know I'm playing devil's advocate here. But from his perspective, that's the way he said that character would be played from day one. We just didn't expect him to follow through on it.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I guess trying to get to like rogue mechanics, like how do you play a rogue properly? Like how would you describe to somebody to play a rogue properly? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Well, okay, here's my thing. Here's one of the reasons why I love this game. There is no right way and there is no wrong way to play a character. Now, you have your certain set of guidelines.
Right.
But you can't tell someone that they're playing that character wrong. As long as they are following the rules and the mechanics, you cannot tell a person they are playing a character wrong.
That's a valid point. I agree. I still think you can sit down and say, like, this is how a rogue should be played. Whether you choose to play it like that or not is still your decision.
Yeah.
But I still think there's nothing wrong with saying that. It's kind of like saying, Stairway to Heaven should be played this way. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that somebody can't play it 3 keys lower.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? That's not what I'm saying. But I personally would like to see a rogue played in a manner of somebody who is scouting, gathering information, uses their contacts to gather information, and in combat is just like what you said. In combat, a rogue should be unseen until the moment it makes contact. And then when he or she makes contact with the enemy is the moment that they become aware that they're in combat. And then their goal should be to get the fuck out of the way and back in the shadows again.
Absolutely.
Now, see, Larissa, Curtis's wife, plays a rogue, and she plays rogue very well.
Yeah. Her name's Cheryl. Her rogue's name is Larissa.
Larissa. I know.
Well, you said Larissa plays a rogue. I'm like, no, Cheryl plays a rogue.
Oh, sorry. I'm all bad with names
I'm
today.
just fucking with you, sweetie. I'm going to pay for that later.
But I think she plays a rogue very, very well. And, I mean, I haven't known Cheryl that long, but she's very good at D&D.
I have to agree. Like, I mean, she's good at she's definitely very good. She definitely nails the rogue, man. Like, whenever she's played with us, it's like, she's like, I'm going to go.
What made me think of that, when you said get in and get out, Cheryl very much gets in, attacks, and moves the fuck out of the way.
Right, but I did give her a dagger that doubles her movement speed.
Unless, of course, she's hitting the other players with herself.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Oh, and then, so you gave her a dagger that doubles her speed, and then you gave me an axe that I electrocuted her with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, she's been the unfortunate recipient of a couple of blunders. But no, she did do a great job with it. Like when we were in Ravnica or we would go places, she'd be like, okay, I'm going to go check. I'm going to go look for the seedy spots and see who I could talk to using thieves' cant and that kind of stuff to try to obtain information. And that's what I think. Oh, that's how I would like to see rogues played. Yes, they help out and they check traps and they pick locks. But in my opinion, like that person of subterfuge who can find the information out that you can't find any other way.
When I think of a rogue, I think of Aladdin.
That's actually a really good example of a rogue.
Because for me, when people are explaining things to me in Dungeons and Dragons, I have to relate it to something that I know.
Right.
And then I can put it together. And from what Larissa plays and what you guys have been explaining, a rogue is very much Aladdin.
Yeah. So, Aladdin was a thief.
He was the Prince of Thieves.
Yeah, he was the Prince of Thieves, absolutely. But you're right. Like how he, I haven't seen,
he moves in and out of crowds. He talks,
Like his ability in the cartoon. Like I just recently got the live action, so we're going to have to watch that.
Yeah.
Like in the cartoon, whenever he's stealing something, I think him and his little monkey are stealing something, and they have to get away from the guards. And the way he moves through the city, sliding across the canvas tops, and all of that to get in and out, that very much is a rogue. Like they would know the city and know how to do that.
Absolutely, parkour for a rogue is a way of life.
Right. Exactly.
You know all the places in the city better than the people that are guarding the city.
Right. Exactly. Now, can I ask this? How important?
No.
Okay. How important do you guys feel a rogue is to party composition?
You know what? Personally, I want to see us do one campaign where everybody plays what they want to play. And if we don't have a barbarian, we don't have a cleric, we don't have that, I think we can make it work, because I have been doing a lot of reading between, people talking about stuff on Twitter and stuff online. And there are people who run successful campaigns where people play what they want to play, not what's needed.
Well, no, everybody here played what they wanted to play. Bob just chose to play a cleric because he's like, the group needs a cleric, because Bob's played every character underneath the sun. So for him, I think it's more of a, okay, well, you know what, we're going to need a healer at some point, so I'll play the healer. But I don't think, we don't require anybody to play a certain group of people. I'm just asking, no matter what, when you get into a combat situation, there is the best composition for combat. And I'm curious what everybody's thoughts are, not even for combat, but for gameplay in general, what everybody's thoughts are on how important a rogue is to that. I'm not saying everybody has to play one. I'm not saying every campaign needs one. I'm just saying, how important do you think it is to have in the group?
I'd say you need a tank. Obviously, you need somebody that can take the damage and distract the heavy hitter so that nobody else is getting hit.
Yeah, so the DPS can get their shots off and do damage.
You need a cleric. You need a healer of some sort, which could be a bard, could be a paladin. They're not as good at it as a healer, but they can fill, or druid.
Yeah,
druids can heal just as well as clerics can.
Right.
I do believe you need that sneaky class. You need a bard, or you need which bard is really nice utility class, because it will fit in as a healer. It will fit in as a rogue. Mm-hmm. And I think you need a spellcaster. You need that massive damage ability, but you've got to have a party that will protect him.
Right.
This party, I'd have been dead a long time ago.
Right. Well, I don't know. We do pretty good job.
Tiberius, and now Jonas.
Yeah, we also
no
do.
offense, Brenda, you was not a very protected barbarian. you could hold their attention, but you wasn't going to save my life in that point.
We do a pretty good job protecting Hugo, though. You know what I mean? We do. Like I've dove in front of some shit for him a couple of times, and we've saved his ass a couple of times on some things. But yeah, I do agree. Like there is not a lot of focus around protecting the magic users in this thing. And I think a lot of that too. Curtis is usually never in peril because he's smart and stays at the back of the fight all the time. Like
Hugo stays behind me anywhere we go,
or behind a rock or pillar or anything, which is smart. As a magic user, that's smart. And he's a halfling magic user, so it's like not only is he a magic user, but he's also fucking tiny. So it's like him being behind shit makes sense. But I was just curious what your thoughts were on that. Like I think with like the some of the newer ranger classes like Gloomstalker, you can get away with a Gloomstalker and not have to have a rogue if you level it right. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just wish that this is where I miss the ability to buy skills. Because like if you took a Gloomstalker Ranger and gave them pickpocketing or sleight of hand, you know what I mean, put points in that to allow them to get some of those thieves' abilities, disarming traps and shit, then all of a sudden now you have a Ranger that can double as a scout, is a magic user, and can handle some of that sneaky thievery stuff. Because I do think it's important. Like, I think you can totally successfully play a campaign without a rogue, but I think having a rogue makes it easier.
Having a rogue makes it easier.
Having somebody that can get in and out of a city unseen, can go scout the city, find information before the group comes in and does anything, is important,
Now, after 5th or 6th level, a utility mage can do the same thing.
Right, exactly. Absolutely.
A DPS mage, not so much. I mean, if you're playing an evoker, you're going to get fireballs all day long, and he's going to wipe out most of the big bad guys, but he's not going to
be much of assistance otherwise.
Right.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Like I really wish, like when we were working on a game last year, Bob and I were working on toying around with writing a game idea with another friend, and we had talked a little bit about magic. And the one thing I really do wish somebody would do right would be a proper fucking what's the word I'm looking for? Support mage. So like I want a mage that has things that debuffs and buffs. Straight up, like it cast a spell that takes that cuts your armor class in half and cuts your movement in half, and I'm going to cast a spell that gives you an additional fucking 15 hit points and you get an extra attack per round. That buff and debuff, that support mage, utility mage would be really cool to play, but there's not enough spells built around it to be able to build a class or to be able to build a mage that does that.
That is one of the issues I'm having with 5th edition.
Right.
The spell list from previous edition has been cut by probably a third.
Right.
And the skill list, I mean, I'm having fun playing the campaign. Absolutely. Don't take that the wrong way. Don't take this the wrong way. But I do not like the skill list.
Right.
I want to be able to customize the character the way I want to play it. And the spell list is negligible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the spell list I did notice is missing a bunch. And skills, I go back and forth on this issue because I think you can definitely have too many skills. Like I think Pathfinder has too many fucking skills. But I think Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition has too few. You know what I mean? Like I really do. Like there is a happy medium in there. And I don't like the fact that you can't really buy skills. You don't get skill points. You don't get stuff to put into skill points. You know what I mean? Like your skill checks are what they fucking are, and that's it.
It is just your proficiency bonus and whatever attribute bonus, and that's it.
Exactly. But then, like, I don't even know. I didn't even read in there, like, are you allowed to take new skills at new levels?
I don't believe so. You get what you get at first level, and that's it.
See, I don't like that either. If that's the case, I do not like that.
I believe you can take a feat to learn new skills, but feats are too valuable to.
Why would you spend that on skill? Well, you know what? I could have done that with my last attribute bump because I didn't need the bump, and there was no feats that really matched what I needed. So I could have done that, but you shouldn't have to take a feat to get additional skills. Like I think you should be able to pick up more skills and round your character out. So I do think 5th edition dropped the ball a little bit there on that one. I have to agree with you on that. So. All right, cool. That kind of winds up the rogue discussion. I was just kind of curious if everybody thought about that because that's been in my head a little bit because I'm trying to figure out how to play Dorn and how to mix this Ranger Rogue thing that I got going on. And
Ranger Rogue is really powerful.
It is, absolutely. And mixed with the Gloomstalker stuff is fucking cool, dude, because it's a lot about moving in the shadow and a lot of bonuses to moving quietly and like all the stuff I get, like the Dreadful Ambusher is fucking killer. That's a really great fucking thing that came. That was actually part of the Gloomstalker stuff.
If you only remember to use the fucking thing.
I remembered it all last game. I rolled fucking advantage on every initiative check. What do you got for us this week, Bob?
So I want to talk about Aquaman 2, but I want to talk about Aquaman 2 from a different perspective. Have you seen that it's currently being delayed in production?
Yeah.
Because of the protests going on in Hawaii.
Yeah, I saw that.
They're trying to build a 30-meter telescope on top of a sacred volcano in Hawaii, and it's picked up a lot of press.
Right.
Because Momoa is a part of it, and now Dwayne Johnson is a part of it.
Yeah, because they're both of Hawaiian descent. So.
Absolutely. And I'm 100% for them, like, delaying this to settle his sacred land.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I agree. Like, I think they're right. Like, I'm all for creating new scientific things. Let's not put them in places that are sacred to an entire fucking culture.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? You know what you do? How about you, as the government, go use your eminent domain capabilities and, I don't know, take one of the 8 million golf courses in fucking Arizona and turn it into a scientific installation.
Right now, apparently they've filed the patents now to put this telescope in the Canary Islands.
Oh, that's cool.
So it looks like they may be coming to a resolution to it, which would be nice because I am looking forward to seeing Aquaman 2, but not at the expense of a sacred volcano.
Yeah, and I agree.
No.
I agree. Like it's kind of ridiculous, you know. I'm all for furthering science, but like
Manea K,
dude, don't even ask me.
Yeah, but
it's one of those.
Jason, if you're listening, I apologize for butchering your culture.
Exactly, we apologize dearly. It's one of those M words that ends in aloha. That's all we know. What do you think, honey?
But we're there with you.
Yes, 100% support.
I am total 100. I'm excited for Aquaman 2, but I understand it being delayed for that reason. Now, if it was being delayed over some money issue, yeah, I'd have a problem. I'd probably tell DC and Warner Brothers, you know what? Stop acting like fucking assholes and produce what you said you're going to produce.
Right.
But it's not. He is taking, I don't want to say a break because he's not taking a break, but he is standing up for something that he believes in. That, you know what? Not a lot of people are going to like me saying this, but that's something a lot of people don't do nowadays. A lot of people nowadays, if they know that it's going to upset somebody, they won't say nothing. They'll go run right, in a corner and hide and go with what everybody else is doing.
Right.
And I give them a lot of credit for that.
Yeah.
I think if a lot more people were honest about the way that they felt and stood up for the things that deserved to be stood up for, this country would be a better place.
Well, I think that boils down to the fact that, obviously context is important here, but just because you believe in something that I do not does not mean that I should get offended by it.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? And that obviously context is important there, because if somebody comes along and says, I hate African Americans and starts being a racist, that does offend me because that's bullshit. You know what I mean? But, like in this respect.
There is no room in this world for racism.
Exactly.
None.
I
whatsoever.
agree. And
if you are a racist motherfucker, you deserve to get your ass beat. Sorry.
Okay, I agree. But, I do think we live in a culture that is you offended me, now you should stop doing what you're doing, which is, it sucks because, like some of the best comedians in the world were offensive, man. Fucking Bill Hicks, fucking Dennis Leary, George Carlin, fucking Sam Kinison. Yeah, these guys, you need that ability to push the envelope and not be afraid to be offended by something, because it's, it's okay. Like, getting offended is okay, and it's okay to be offended by it, but it's not okay for you to say, I'm offended, you have to stop, because fuck that shit. Like, I get it in context. If you're walking around with a fucking a swastika on your shirt, screaming the N-word and beating the crap out of African Americans because they're African Americans, then yeah, I agree, stop, you're being an asshole. But if I walk around and say, you know what, I support this, I support fucking abortion. You know what? You have the right to disagree with me. You have the right to be offended by it, but you don't have the right to tell me I'm not allowed to support abortion because it offends you.
I think people are also, there are things that deserve to get offended over. There is. But there's dumbass motherfuckers out there who get offended over the littlest fucking thing, and then all of a sudden they're bitching and screaming and calling you names.
Right.
And a lot of the times it's just because they don't agree with you. And it's like, you know what? Grow up, motherfucker.
I want to know when sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me stopped.
Exactly. That's a valid point, man.
It's words.
Exactly. And the thing is we need to talk. We need to have words. You need to listen to other people's points of view. Otherwise, you can't learn anything. Like, people, I love to argue. Michelle or Stormy will tell you that straight up, man. I'm an arguer. I love to argue all the time.
Oh, you and I
There are
debate,
several
you and I debate
times
all
that
the time.
I will get up and I will say, okay, whatever you say, honey, and go walk outside, slam the door, and have a cigarette.
I love to argue, but at the same time, though,
you know what? It is so nice for him to actually say argue and not passionately discuss.
Passionately discuss is what I do. I don't argue.
No, I heard you just say it.
No, I do love it. But, there's a reason I love it. And a lot of that comes from the way I was raised. And, we argue like that in my family. And it's about being passionate about something and about talking about your points. But what I learned from that was, if you cannot sit down and have healthy, passionate debate with somebody about something, you're never going to learn somebody else's perspective. We talked about this last week. Bob and I, very different perspectives on life as far as a lot of things go, but there's a lot of shit he's taught me. There's a lot of things I've realized as a result, and you can't do that unless you have those kind of discussions with people.
But see, and me and Bob don't agree on a lot of things either. But
understatement.
Bob's the odd man out, in case you're curious.
But Bob is one of those people that I can sit down and have an intelligent conversation about a topic or a view or whatever it may be, and it not turn into a bashing session.
Because he doesn't get offended.
People have got to learn. The only way things are ever going to get fixed, the only way things are ever going to get changed is if you can put your damn feelings aside, sit down, shut your fucking mouth, and actually listen to what the other person is saying. And I think that's lacking.
I've tried to start this statement like 3 or 4 times.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. No, she was ranting. You're allowed to rant, baby.
That's what this is for.
Uh-huh.
There are 2 things I'd like to say. First of all, there's a country song that came out in the 90s. You got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Mm-hmm. And I absolutely 100% believe that. If you don't have a backbone and you don't stand up for what you believe in, do you really believe in anything?
Right.
Exactly.
I agree 100% on that.
And something that every kindergartner was taught, it's like you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. Use them in that proportion.
Exactly. Yes, absolutely. You know, and back to what you were saying about believing in something, I agree with that because I think that speaks a lot to a person's character. If you stand for nothing, what kind of character do you have? You know, like we all have our deep beliefs and we all have great character. You know what I mean? And like if you sit back and you stand up for nothing and don't believe in anything, what kind of character do you have as a person? I would never trust you as a human being, you know?
Absolutely.
Boy, did we veer from fucking Aquaman too.
Wow.
I have one more thing to say.
Right turn, Clyde.
We're going to do a huge turn way back because I have one more thing I want to say on that.
Okay.
Kids nowadays are taught that it's okay to be fake. And when you are fake and pretend to be somebody you're not, people aren't going to trust you. People aren't going to like you. And people aren't going to know what to think of you.
Right.
And it's not okay to be that way.
I agree.
And I think a lot of people are pushed into, and I think it's a lot of the society that causes it, into what they should or shouldn't believe. Not everybody is a southern ass redneck like me who will punch you in the fucking face.
Right, but at the same time, though, it is tribal mentality. I mean, and that's what it is, dude. You know, people have, again, well, I don't want to get on this too much because we talked about it a lot last week at length, but we have a world of us versus them. And which box do you fit in? You know what I mean? And back whenever we were growing up, it was okay to not fit in a box. It was okay to make your own box. Like, okay, I don't fit in those boxes. I'm going to make my own box over here. That's me.
I like this box.
Exactly. And that was perfectly okay. Now I agree. In the current state of things, it's not that way. But let's not go down this road too much.
Two things that my dad taught me. First of all children are brain dead till at least 25.
Agreed.
Because at 25 is when your brain is fully developed, and that's when you actually start using that thing between your ears. Besides,
all I know is I remember my early 20s, and I was definitely fucking brain dead.
Yeah, absolutely. and second of all, don't take this the wrong way, but you children in high school, you're all chaotic evil.
Yeah.
Children are evil. And at some point, you grow out of that. That's okay. It's like your lesbian phase in college. It's going to happen. Just deal with it. But eventually join society and stop being a little asshole.
Right, exactly. Well, that's part of that growing up thing. You know what I mean? You're going to challenge those around you and think you know better than everybody else. And
at some point, Lena's going to listen to this.
Yeah, exactly.
And sweetheart, it's true. You're evil and a little asshole now.
We love you, but yeah, you suck. But anyways, back to Aquaman 2. Let's get back to what we're actually talking about. I'm actually really excited for this film because Aquaman 1 was fantastic. And like DC, I thought, they shit the bed on so many of those films.
It's one of the few movies they got right.
Exactly.
And who would have thought that Aquaman was going to be... Aquaman was the lamest motherfucking...
Wooba wooba. He wooba wooba'd.
Yeah. It's like,
He's the fish guy.
He's the fish guy. Yeah. You're just the fish guy.
I loved that throwback in the Aquaman film too, where he's standing there and they actually kind of showed the wooba wooba when he was a kid in the aquarium talking to the fish. I was like, they threw a throwback to it, man. I think part of that is, number one, I think they took a very interesting take on Aquaman, because really when you think about him being an Atlantean and like the Prince of Atlantis and all that shit, like, it's pretty powerful because he's master of the oceans, man. You're talking about Poseidon here. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like,
Yeah.
That's insanely strong. Water, the oceans are probably one of the most powerful forces on this planet, you know? So that's pretty crazy to begin with. And then on top of it, you take Jason Momoa and put him in that fucking role. And that guy, yes, I know he's a heartthrob that will turn the fucking straightest redneck gay in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? I get that. But he's also a fucking spectacular actor.
Absolutely.
Like, the guy is really fucking good actor, man. Like, and he delivers the way he plays that role is just wonderful to me. You know,
The fact that viewership went up by over 50% in DC movies for that one, and
Right.
they attributed it all to women.
Yeah, they said it was all the soccer moms going to the movies to watch Jason Momoa half naked and wet.
I agree with that because
I bet you do.
Jason Momoa is hot.
Yeah.
But the director and the screenplay writer for who did Aquaman and Aquaman 2, I went back and read up on them. Dude, they are fucking awarded, phenomenal, have worked together on several major movies, several projects. So it's in, like, we talked about Swamp Thing last week. James Wan, who is the director, was a producer on Swamp Thing.
Yeah. James Wan's pretty well known, man. He's a pretty popular director.
I think it's a mix between not only actors. Yes, Jason Momoa is a great actor. But if you have a great actors and shitty directors or a shitty screenplay,
right,
you're gonna end up with a shitty fucking movie. Or if you have a great director and great screenplay and shitty actors, you're still gonna have a shitty movie. You have to have.
You have Batman versus Superman.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think where DC fails is DC suffered from Nolan lag. And it was like after Chris Nolan did the Batman films, because Warner Brothers and DC are all the same fucking conglomerate. And Warner Brothers, Batman, Nolan's Batmans were great, and he brought a realistic version to it. He said, if this were to happen in real life, this is what it would look like.
Absolutely.
And he did a great job of it. The problem is they tried to take that and apply it to Superman, and it doesn't work with Superman because there's no way Superman would ever really fucking exist. Like, Batman could exist. Somebody with $1 million or billions of dollars could buy all that crazy technology and equipment and toys and do that shit. You know what I mean? Superman, no. Not going to happen. You're going to have a guy who could fly and is impervious to bullets and can shoot laser beams out his eyes and breathe fucking ice. Like, no. So you can't apply that to, you can't take that style of film and apply it to Superman. It just doesn't work, you know?
I just love the fact that they did that with Superman. It's like what power does he need right now? Okay, give it to him.
Yeah,
it's
I know,
like,
right?
It's like, he didn't pick up a lot of those powers until years after the initial
Right, yeah.
run.
I know, but it's Superman too. He is, you know what? I don't want my Superman all fucking emo. Like, fucking, he's the all-American Boy Scout, dude. He's the Captain America of the DC universe. You know what I mean? Like, he is there to fight for truth, justice, and the American way. You know what I mean? That's what he is. And it's like, you had sad Superman in this. It was just like, fucking, what the fuck? Like, Mom, I don't know what to do. They don't like me. Shut the fuck up, dude. You're Superman. Like, come on. Where are you with your spit curling to be this bastion and symbol of hope? Like, I didn't understand that choice at all. Like, it made no sense. But, you know, I think what happened was they brought one that, you know, that they were still feeling the Nolan lag after the Batman films when they did Man of Steel and they did Batman v Superman. And then they brought in, I can't remember the director's name, that did Wonder Woman. And I believe it was a woman that directed Wonder Woman too.
I think.
Whoever it was brought an entirely different perspective to the film. They said, we're going to forget about all this Batman shit and we're going to all this Nolan realistic shit and we're going to make an actual superhero movie. We're going to make a movie that's all about the fantastical.
Patty Jenkins,
that was it. And they did a great job of it. And Wonder Woman was amazing, dude. I was so fucking I was unbelievably surprised with how happy I was with that movie because I was never a giant Wonder Woman fan. She's awesome. Love the Lasso of Truth. Love the Invisible Jet. Love that shit. It was cool. But I was never a big fan. I watched that movie. I'm like, this is fucking awesome, dude. Like that scene where there's like all those when Trevor Noah, God, not the host of the fucking Daily Show, Steve Trevor, excuse me, and those guys and lands on, and the I think it's the Germans land on Themyscira. And it's like they're jumping off the mountainside, and there's like these armored women jumping off the mountain, like tied to it, fucking shooting bows and arrows, just like slaughtering everybody. I was like, holy fucking shit. This is like an amazing fucking battle sequence here. It was really well done. And like, I loved Gal Gadot's like almost naivety to the world. You know what I mean? Like she got off Themyscira, she was kind of like, ooh, what's this? What's that? You know?
Which is 100% true.
Absolutely. And so I think when they got there, they went, okay, cool, we got this. I don't know why they fucked up Justice League so bad though, because they had a success in Wonder Woman.
Yes. The good news is Wonder Woman 2 is being directed by Patty Jenkins, and Aquaman 2 is being directed by James Wan.
Wan, they're both coming back, so I'm very excited for that. Yeah, man, I'm really excited to see where they go with Aquaman too, because it's like I loved the first one. I thought it was great. Like I loved seeing him in that green and gold armor at the end, and like that was just awesome, dude. Like it was so well done, and I really liked the storyline they laid too, with like the different segments of the Atlanteans getting spread off, and like the ones that are in like the Marianas Trench, and like how they kind of turned into half fish people, and like I thought it was really cool, man. It was really neat, and I'm interested to see where they go with it.
Well, the Atlanteans were supposed to be the pinnacle of technology,
right?
And they tried to, they not only tried, but they showed that very well.
Oh yeah, I agree.
And it was well crafted, well directed, and the fight scenes were on point.
Right.
So.
And I love the final battle at the end too, with that giant like fucking Hydra thing that he brought back from the weird place where his mom was, and where he found the armor and that ancient
That
creature.
wasn't a Kraken?
I think it was supposed to be technically a Kraken. What we as humans would call a Kraken, they had a different name for it.
Okay.
But I love the idea too, because it hadn't spoken to anybody in like thousands of years. It had said, and like was able to hold a conversation with him and shit. I thought that was really fucking cool, man. Like,
I just want to know if Aquaman can summon Cthulhu.
I don't think so, because Cthulhu is an elder god. He may have an octopus face.
He can talk to fish.
Cthulhu can talk to fish?
Well, no, Aquaman can talk to fish.
Aquaman can talk to fish, but anybody can talk to Cthulhu. Just ask fucking H.P. Lovecraft.
Plenty of people have talked to Cthulhu.
Exactly.
It's like that description of like, you've got a circle of ants standing there. It's like, if they're all chanting your name, makes it a little more interesting. What do you want? You want some sugar? Oh, fuck yeah, let's see where this goes. It's like, no, you're not controlling me. I'm just seeing where the fuck this goes. Oh, you want me to destroy that other anthill? All right. Oh, squish. Okay, now what do you want? Sugar cube? Sure. You're not controlling me. I'm just
There was a really great Outer Limits episode. You remember they remade Outer Limits in the 90s?
Yeah.
There was a really great episode with Beau Bridges where they found this like hematode from Mars. They had came back on like they had like sent something up there, and it had taken soil samples, and there was this like a living organism, and he was doing research on it, and he ended up bringing it home to his house. And I can't remember what the episode was called, but it was like, it ended up, there was two of them. There was red ones and black ones, and he had them in this big like sand thing in his garage. He was doing research on them, and he was there every night and feeding them, and they started breeding. And then suddenly they started crafting like little fucking sand sculptures that looked like him, and like then they started warring with each other to take the other person's sand sculpture down, and like how he had become this god to these little creatures inside. It was so fucking cool, dude. It was so good, man. I love that episode. I need to look that up and watch that again, but. Yeah, man, Aquaman, looking forward to it. Can't wait. Jason Momoa, proud of what you're doing, dude, but hurry the fuck up. We're ready for Aquaman 2. Stormy, what do you got for us next?
Ooh, I got Swamp Thing. So.
Ooh, Swamp Thing.
I made Trent sit down with me, and.
You didn't make me do anything, because I love that show.
I was like, we got to finish it, because I want to talk about it on the freaking podcast, because it's been out. The last episode, I think, dropped the 2nd of August. And let me just tell you what, that was another one of those shows where I was doing nothing else.
Right.
I was watching that show.
Yeah.
And I think it's a shame of what happened.
Right.
Because they took what happened in the TV show came straight out of the comics. There was no, I'm going to make this pretty and sparkly for TV.
Right.
No, what happened in the comic books happened in that TV show.
Yeah, they did a really good job of making a horror comic book show. They did a great job of it.
Yeah. And I do want to go back, and I think it was maybe our second or third podcast. This was a little bit of a topic. It wasn't much. It was just about it getting canceled.
Right.
And I think we brought up the fact where it was due to the North Carolina Department cutting funding. North Carolina Department of Commerce.
Yeah, I reported an article where I read that they said that they did a clerical error, but you actually found out what actually happened.
I found out what actually happened. This is not North Carolina's fault whatsoever. None. They had no play in this. Warner Brother Media knew from the very beginning the lines of how much money grant they were allowed. There was a gentleman called John Gholson who after found out what happened decided to go on Twitter and say that this was all North Carolina's commerce fault.
Right.
Warner Brother decided, hey, you know what? I'll jump on this bandwagon. This sounds like we're not going to get in any trouble. So that's not what happened. The North Carolina Department of Commerce made a statement to the New York Times stating the production, quote, the production grant program and proceeded with production. Oh, wait, did I? Hold on. I cut the quote in half, but basically what they told the New York Times was, the production company had a clear understanding of the resources available from the state under the grant program and proceeded with the production here on that basis. Okay, Swamp Thing reported that they were supposed to get $40 million this season. Okay, that's a lot in my opinion for a fucking TV show. However, the North Carolina's grant program only gets $31 million per year for all grant recipients.
Right.
Not just Swamp Thing.
So basically, like...
Now, I also found several other articles that stated that the high executives in Warner Brother Media just didn't like the fucking show.
Yeah, Warner, I've said that from the beginning when we started talking about this, that Warner Brothers doesn't want to make a horror show. They've said that from the beginning. They're not interested in making a horror TV show.
And that's what Swamp Thing is.
And that's what Swamp Thing is. Now, basically what happened is, to summarize what she's saying, is essentially North Carolina has a $31 million budget for all films, and fucking Swamp Thing sent them a $40 million bill. You know what I mean? Which they're like, we can't cover this. It's our whole budget. You know what I mean? But I think that's just a bullshit way for them to get out of being able to a bullshit excuse for canceling the show. I'm not 100% sure it's going to be canceled, man. That thing, people fucking loved it.
Well, I want to bring out that it received a 92% approval rating from viewers.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many of you people pay attention to Rotten Tomatoes. Like, I don't pay attention to what critics say. I do pay attention to the ratings it gets on certain places.
Right.
But I do know that they get a 94% in Rotten Tomatoes is almost fucking unheard of.
Right. Well, I mean, Voltron got 100% for the Voltron cartoon on Netflix. You know what I mean? It's not unheard of. It's just that Rotten Tomatoes is a great place.
It's very hard.
Rotten Tomatoes is a great place to gauge audience response. You can't look at the critics' response because critics are assholes that are paid to write certain things. You know what I mean? But if you look at the audience response, that is the viewers actually logging in and saying what they vote that show as. And the audience response on it was amazing. It was 94%, which is really fucking good. That's really good for any TV show, especially a comic book based TV show, and then especially a comic book based TV show on a struggling streaming service that not everybody has.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, but
now I would also like to bring out the fact, because I do want to give people credit where they're due. The guy who played Swamp Thing, his name was Derek Mears. He has been in all kinds of stuff. So they brought in people who knew what the fuck they were doing.
Right.
If you watch Swamp Thing, he was amazing at Swamp Thing. Like, you kind of could have tore him out of the comic book kind of thing.
Well, whether they knew what they were doing or not, the show was just well put together. It was a wonderfully told story, because this is the dark side of Mother Nature. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? When you look at it, it's really what Swamp Thing is.
Absolutely.
He's the vigilante side of Mother Nature, and they did a great job of telling that story. And I loved the overall themes in it, talking about, like there's darkness growing in the green. There's darkness. Like there needs to be a balance between the dark and the light, and the green is what maintains that balance, which is
Yeah.
basically speaking about Mother Nature. And it talks a lot about how the darkness is growing and starting to take over parts of the green. And as a result, we're seeing more evil released in the world as a result of it. And that was really the overlying story arc throughout the whole thing, which was really fucking well done, man. Really well done. On top of the fact Virginia Madsen's amazing. She comes in and plays it. I can't remember the guy's name who plays fucking the main antagonist. Can't think of his fucking god. I can't think of the character's name either. The rich guy. He's fucking, the guy who plays him's great. I've seen him in tons of stuff. He's always played a supporting actor. And then I noticed that they brought back, I can't remember her name anymore, but the woman who played Abby Arcane in the original Swamp Thing movie from the 80s comes back as the head.
1990.
Was it 1990?
1990 Swamp Thing
Oh,
TV
okay.
show.
Oh, TV show. I thought she was in the original movie too.
She might have been, but what I found was that she was on the 1990 TV show.
Okay, well, I know. I'm pretty sure she was the one that she played Abby Arcane in the Swamp Thing movie too.
Okay,
that I'm pretty sure. But yeah, either one though. Like, I really like this resurgence. I like this not resurgence, but this thing that TV shows are doing. They're pulling in these people that have been in these things in the past and using them. We talked about Supergirl. They in Supergirl, Kara's mother and father are the woman who played Supergirl in the Supergirl movie from the 80s, and Dean Cain, who played Superman in Lois and Clark. And like in The Flash, they bring back John Wesley Shipp to play Jay Garrick, who is, and plays, not only does he play Barry Allen's father. John Wesley Shipp was the actor who played The Flash in the 90s TV show. Yep. They brought him back to play Barry Allen's father, but then he also plays Jay Garrick in one of the multiverse Earths, which is another version of The Flash. So I like this thing we're seeing where these TV shows are doing this. I think it's pretty awesome to like bring these people back from our youth and put them into these shows to kind of say, hey, you did this before it was cool. You know what I mean? Like Flash did it with Mark Hamill too, because Mark Hamill played the Trickster in the original Flash TV show from the 90s, yep. And they brought him back as the Trickster in this version of the TV show.
Now, did either one of you read the Swamp Thing comics?
I read a little bit, but not enough to be able to speak intelligently about it.
Okay, now I
do we ever speak intelligently about anything?
No.
Okay.
I wanted to be able to, like, everything I read online, they weren't two credible sources, but I wanted to make sure that what I was saying was true. So I found a couple of Swamp Thing comics online, and I read them just to make sure that I didn't come on air and say, hey, you know what? It was like tearing them out of the fucking comic and putting them on TV. But it was. And at the time when Swamp Thing came out, it was 1971 when he first appeared. 1972 when Alec Holland's Swamp Thing got released. So if you think about the time period when this comic book was released, and it wasn't as graphic as seeing it on television,
right?
But it was still a horror-based comic.
Oh yeah,
that takes a lot of fucking balls, and I want to point that out.
I agree.
To release something like that in the 70s takes a lot of fucking balls, and I'm glad I actually went back and read a couple of them so that I could see, because I know that you had mentioned, hey, it was a horror comic book, but I knew it was an older one. So in my head, I was like, I don't see that happening in the 70s, you know.
Yeah, no, it
but
was.
It was.
It did take guts to do that. It took a lot of guts to put something out like that in that time period, you know. I mean, horror started to get really popular in the 70s because, you know, you got Texas Chainsaw Massacre came out then. The original Friday the 13th, I think, was in 79. maybe 81. It was right towards the end of the 70s. I know that, or beginning of the 80s.
We're talking about the Dark Ages here.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I mean, horror was starting to become pretty popular then, like the idea of the slasher and the dark kind of thing. So, but I still think in the comic book medium, yeah, absolutely, it took us to do that.
But and another thing I want to point out, dude, I cannot fucking talk today. I almost said pumped out, but anyways, when I was looking for the Swamp Thing comics, a Time magazine article came up, and Time magazine ranked Swamp Thing as number 28 in the top 100 superheroes. If you think about all the superheroes that are out there, Batman, Superman, we could go on for hours.
Well,
it was ranked as the number 28.
Right, but Swamp Thing's powerful as fuck. Like, Swamp Thing is super fucking powerful.
He's nature.
Yes, he is pretty much the embodiment of the angry side of nature.
I guess I'm thinking about it in another way. I guess I knew who Swamp Thing was, but I didn't know a lot about it. So if I were to go vote for somebody, I don't know if I really...
When they say Time Magazine said it's the top number 28, I don't think that's popularity. I think that's probably like most powerful or strongest.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because Swamp Thing was definitely not number 28 in popularity, because barely anybody knows who the fuck that is.
Well, I'm not talking about popularity, but to get ranked 28th in a magazine like Time, that says something.
Out of his strengths, because he's fucking the embodiment of the angry side of nature. So, yeah, absolutely, he's strong as fuck, dude. Like, you don't want to fuck with Swamp Thing, man. He'll fucking destroy you, But
I have to say, if you have never read or picked up a Swamp Thing comic book, there are a couple of them that you can find free online. It takes maybe 10 minutes to read it. Read it. I guarantee you it is not what the fuck you think it is.
Right. It's a great book, man. It's really cool.
This is why druids are so powerful.
Exactly.
You're talking about the physical embodiment of nature.
Right, exactly. It is 100%, All right, I want to move on because we don't have a whole lot of time left. So, Bob, why don't you talk to us about Dave Eddings?
Sorry, I was taking a drink there.
That's okay. You're allowed. We allow you 1 teaspoon of water every 6 hours.
That's about all that was in there. I'm just about out. Okay, so David Eddings. It's time for Bob's book segment here.
Yeah.
I'm trying to throw one in every week here.
Exactly, because it's going to give me things that I'm going to put in my reading list that I'll never get to read because I have no fucking free time.
Add this one.
Okay.
So first of all, I'm slightly upset. I didn't realize David Eddings died a decade ago. But that explains why he hasn't put out any books lately.
You were going to yell at him for not writing a book like you yelled at George R. R. Martin, weren't you?
He needs to finish the fucking series.
Well, he's dead. How about we just not pick on a dead guy?
No, George R. R. Martin needs to finish the fucking series.
Okay. I was going to say,
David Eddings actually finished all the series before he died, which is the goal, in case you're listening, George. Anyway, so he's got 2 really, really popular worlds. One is the world of the Church Knights. So Sparhawk is the main character in a series, the Malurian and the Temporal. He's been exiled for the last 10 years. In book 1, he's literally coming back from a 10-year exile because he was getting the princess of the realm was his charge. He was her Lord Protector, effectively, and they were getting too close. The king said no more of this because Sparhawk was actually able to influence her more than the king was, which was not allowed. Mm-hmm. Exiled for 10 years. Well, she gets poisoned, and he comes back with a fucking vengeance.
Right.
So the first book is called A Diamond Throne, and literally he comes back, sees her sitting on the throne, and it's been encased in diamond because that's the only way to keep her alive. And it will only keep her alive for 12 months. He's got 12 months to find an artifact to save her.
That sounds fucking amazing.
And this is not... When I say Church Knight, I'm not saying Paladin.
Right.
They have very minimal magic abilities, and
these are Templars. You're talking about Templars.
Yes.
Okay.
And they are not the nice guys.
Right.
They get shit done. At one point, there's 4 of them that are traveling together with the magician of the group, who's Seraphinem, who's actually, they treat her like a mother figure because she's taught all of the church knights magic for the last 100 years. So she's taught all of the people she's traveling with how to use magic.
That's awesome.
And so at one point they come up to a city gate, and the church emissaries are giving the church knights shit because of a situation that's going on. And if I give away too much of that,
Yeah, dude, don't do that.
Right. But anyway, it comes time to pray, and the church knights all immediately dismount and head over to pray. And the church emissaries are not. And these are actually clergymen. And one of the church knights goes, I'm going to give them 5 seconds to get over here. And they don't. And he straight up walks over and murders one of them.
Wow, dude. Wow.
It's like, and there's not shit that the church can do because the church knights are the military arm of the church. They actually have more right than some of the clergymen.
Right.
But some of the graphics in this book, some of the pictures that it's like, there's an axe called a lockbar axe, and one of the characters, one of the chapters of knights in the book uses it, and the other knights are sitting back watching him dismember a guy in a suit of armor, and he goes, he's using it like a can opener.
Right on, man. So it's like, is it? So it's just about him going to save this girl. Then it's not like super religious in nature. So like, what role does the church play in the story itself?
The church is actually the bad guy.
Oh, so you just gave that away.
But you find that out pretty fucking early.
Okay, right, fair enough.
It's I won't tell. The church is the bad guy. Okay. So there's an animosity between them from the get go, but they don't try and take it out on the individual people in the church because it's not the people in the church that are bad. It's the
organization.
It's
of the
the
church.
organization itself.
Very much social commentary there. You know?
Absolutely.
I like that. I love books that do social commentary.
The second series he did is about. It's actually a 12-book series. There are 2 5-book series, and then the 2 books that bookend it are about the people that you don't really think are the main characters in the book, but it turns out that throughout the 5,000-year history of this world, they've been there through all of it, guiding it through the whole way.
Oh, wow.
And it tells the story. It retells the story of that 10-book series from the picture of the people that are guiding it from the background. And you get to read the whole story through a whole nother perspective.
That's pretty fucking cool, man. That's a really unique approach, man. I like that because it's like it's a retelling of the story, but through someone else's eyes. So it becomes a completely different story.
And you see what he's done. Like he shifts this. He causes wars in certain parts of the world just because they need to distract what's going on from something he's doing over here.
Right.
So he caused a war over here.
That's fucking cool, man. What a unique literary idea. I've never heard of anybody doing that before. That's smart, man.
And he wrote these last 2 books. So it's Belgareth the Sorcerer and Paul Gareth the Sorcerer. Belgareth he's a little over 5,000 years old. And Paul Gareth is his daughter, and she's a little over 3,500 years old.
Jesus.
And like I said, they've been a part of the story, but you only see them for a chapter or 2 in the main books.
Right.
And then you get like the book where he's telling the history of the world through their eyes. And it's like, holy shit, all this shit was going on over here that you didn't see.
Right.
But it totally plays into like like this whole army disappeared over here. Where'd they go? Well, they went over here to quell an uprising that somebody else started.
Right, exactly. That's fucking awesome, dude. That sounds really good. What's the name of the series again?
So that one is The Riven Line, and I believe it's just The Riven Line. It's a 5-book series so it starts out with a 5-book series of it's all 3 families.
Okay.
So it's a 5-book series of one section of the family and a 5-book series of another section of the same family years later.
Okay.
But it's all based on the overall story arc.
So do we want to start at the Riven Line? Is that where you start?
I will get you that information because I don't remember which book starts the whole series. It's been a couple of years.
It's all right. No, I was just curious, man. I was just curious because that sounds really interesting, man. That sounds like something I think people would enjoy reading for sure. But, well, awesomeness. Well, I think we're going to touch on one last subject, but I think we're about out of time because Bob has things to go do. You sure?
Yeah.
All right. I guess
I can get there.
All right, we'll close this last one out then. And actually, I don't want to spend too much time on this. I was just kind of curious on thoughts on this. There's a new Dungeons and Dragons expansion that actually hit the ground a couple of weeks ago. I think it came out.
June 18th.
Actually, yeah, it was about a month ago or so, a month and a half ago. Called Acquisitions Incorporated. And apparently, from what I've been reading, is that this actually came from a podcast that took place at Penny Arcade, the Penny Arcade conventions. It was a podcast, and they had D&D actually like took that idea and turned it into an expansion that's all based around humor. And like the goal is that like to raise yourself up through your franchise, I think. It's like where's it at? It doesn't have it in here. I can't remember. I was reading about it. It's like basically like you play this member who's of these big like franchising corporation, and your goal is to go out and get shit. And it's all like this corporate structure, and it's all done in like this hilariously humorous way. And then they took it and turned it into a book series, or turned it into an expansion for Dungeons and Dragons. What I find interesting about that is like how well TSR and Wizards of the Coast is what's the word I'm looking for? Like welcoming the community. You know what I mean? You have like Joe, I'm going to butcher his name because I just realized I've been saying it wrong the whole time, but I'm going to say it again wrong. Joe Manganiello, that's not how you say it. But his character, Archon the Cruel, is now like his Dragonborn fucking Oathbreaker Paladin is now like part of the Dungeons and Dragons canon. Like they made him part of the D&D world. And it's like, I think it's interesting that Dungeons and Dragons, that Wizards of the Coast is doing this. They're like reaching out to people and going, you know what? You got something cool going on. Let's bring that in here. I wonder how long it's going to take before it happens for Crit Roll.
That's a good call.
You know?
Because most of those characters are what a lot of people attribute to D&D now.
Exactly. That's what people associate it with, is Matthew Mercer and those people and then those characters. And it's like, I give a lot of credit to TSR because TSR used to be notoriously like shitty about that stuff, dude. Like, you know, Dungeons and Dragons was theirs. They didn't let anybody help. You know what I mean? It was like their thing. And now I've noticed over the last couple of years that they've really started to open up and kind of let the community in to do things and write things and come up with ideas and embrace. That was the word I was looking for the whole fucking time. To embrace their other people's shit that they're doing and bringing it into the fold and saying, you're doing something cool here, man. Let's bring that in and make a book out of it so other people can play it.
You know what, though? See, I think I don't know Wizards of the Coast, so I'm not going to make any assumptions. But nowadays, with the internet, dude, Wizards of the Coast had two options. I can either get these people in and we can be a team, or they can be my competition. Because there is nothing that says that they could not have done this on their own. I mean, look at the 9 million homebrew shit you find online. So you don't have to be part of Wizards of the Coast. You don't have to be part of Critical Role to get your idea out there and
I'm not
have
saying
people
that.
to like
That's
it.
not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is Dungeons and Dragons is opening up their arms and embracing these people from the community to bring stuff in.
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Before, they wouldn't. Like, you couldn't write a module and say, hey, D&D, put this in your shit. They'd be like, fuck you. This is our shit. We decide what goes in it. Now they're like, that's a cool idea. Let's bring it in. You know what I mean? You're starting to see that happen more often, and I think that's fucking awesome. I think that's amazing. I think that's really cool of Wizards of the Coast to do that. You know?
If
Oh,
only
it's
Star Wars
amazing.
did the same thing.
What's that?
If only Star Wars did the same thing.
I know, right? Exactly.
They've erased 3/4 of the stuff that's out there as it's just a good story.
Yeah, exactly. No, I agree 100%, man. Like, embracing that community is so fucking smart, because it's like now you have a community of people that are more invested in what you're producing because they actually have a hand in producing it.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? So it's like they have a stake in it. They have a dog in the fight.
This is
that's
the way to go about it.
Exactly. So it's like that's so fucking smart, because now you're creatively, for lack of a better term, crowdfunding your content. If you think about it, you know what I mean? Like, I would love to see TSR come out and just say, hey, we're going to have a competition. Everybody out there write a module and send it in. We're going to pick a winner and they're going to get published. You know what I mean? I don't care if you've ever written anything before. Write it, send it in. We're going to judge it. We're going to pick one and publish it.
Isn't that what they did with Eberron?
I don't know. Did they? Honestly, I don't know.
I believe that's what they did with Eberron.
Is that how they did Eberron?
Because Eberron started with it was a kid writing it. I mean, he wasn't but 17, 18 when he wrote Eberron.
Really? I didn't know that. See, that's awesome. I want to see them do more of that. You know what I mean? And maybe they are. Maybe I'm not paying enough attention to the D&D community online, considering the fact that I'm busy doing other shit all the time. But
actually, I have been doing a lot of research on D&D Online, and you would be surprised about what you can find online.
Oh, yeah. The online resources are amazing. I guess I should have said I haven't been paying enough attention to what is being said on the Dungeons and Dragons website, like their news about what's going on, to see if they're doing shit like this.
Well, and that's the thing. You know, we are never going to see eye to eye on this. I don't care how many times we talk about it on this podcast. Dungeons and Dragons, to me, is you get a story, whether it's done by the company Dungeons and Dragons, or if it's a homebrewed one that you purchased offline, that is still, to me, Dungeons and Dragons.
Of course it is.
So, yes, I think you need to pay more attention to the D&D community online, because there is a lot of books being put out now by not quote unquote Dungeons and Dragons,
not
by
Wizards
the
of the Coast. Wizards of the Coast, yeah.
But there are a lot of expansion packs out there that are not put out
right. I agree
by them.
100%.
And to me, that's still Dungeons and Dragons. I don't care what labels put on.
When did I say it wasn't?
Pay more attention to the D&D community online. That's the point I'm trying to make.
But I don't remember ever saying that those expansions weren't part of the Dungeons and Dragons stuff.
I Googled things.
Okay.
Eberron was created by author and game designer Keith Baker as the winning entry for Wizards of the Coast fantasy setting search.
Right.
It was a competition run in 2002 to establish a new setting for the D&D game. It was chosen from more than 11,000 entries and was officially released in 2004.
Yeah, see, that's the kind of stuff I want to see. I want to pay attention. I need to look up to see if they're doing more of that, because I think that's fucking cool, man. Like, you know, it's what I said about League of Legends before. League of Legends is a game that allows the players to change and evolve the gameplay that goes on in that game. And what you're doing by allowing people to create content for specifically to get published by Wizards of the Coast is you're allowing people to be able to create content that becomes part of canon. They're allowed to make the game evolve, and I think that's the secret to gaming future.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? Is using your community to evolve your game to the next level. You know what I mean? And I think that's fucking awesome. And I praise TSR for doing that. I keep calling them TSR. They're not TSR anymore, are they? The Wizards of the Coast now.
The original strategic review. I actually have dice that have their logo on it.
Yeah, it was TSR before it was before Wizards of the Coast bought them, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and then because Wizards of the Coast did Magic the Gathering first, didn't they? I believe Wizards of the Coast was Magic first.
I believe they started with Magic, but now they own practically everything.
Yeah, they own. Yeah, exactly. They almost all of it.
I believe they might own us. I'm not sure.
I think they do. They own us already because we talked about them so much. So now there's actually two guys outside about ready to take us away.
Absolutely cool. Does that mean they'll pay us?
No. Oh, God, no.
Well, damn.
It's a big multinational corporation. Of course they don't pay us. No, but yeah, no, cool. Awesome. All right. Well, cool. I know Bob's going to go, so I think we're going to wrap it up here a little earlier. It's not the 3-hour podcast we did in the last round. Thank God. But
just for anybody out there, that's 3 hours without peeing.
Yeah.
It was a long one.
Yeah.
It was a complicated one.
But it was a lot of fun to make, dude.
It was
loved
awesome,
doing
dude.
this.
It was a great talk, but there was a line at the bathroom as soon as we stopped
Yeah.
recording.
Yeah, about peed in my bush in the front yard. Even though I'm live on like a major thoroughfare. You know, my dick was almost swinging out there. No, it was great, man.
Back to porn.
Yeah, no, I knew we'd hit porn at some point. But we actually did talk about Kurt's, dick enlargement surgery in the beginning.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
And the internet's for porn.
yeah,
so
we know that. So I think we've said porn enough times to make our listeners happy. At this
I
point.
certainly hope so.
Anyways, yeah, last week's was great. A great episode. If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out on the website. Some news we can give. We're going to be officially launching the website coming on the 19th of August here. It'll be this coming Monday. We're very fucking excited about it. We got all the stuff kind of buttoned up and tightened up today, so it's going to be officially live for you guys to check out at First Table Gaming. I
Hey,
can't
you got
talk either.
Michelle's speech impediment
I got
today.
Stormy's speech impediment today. FirstTableGaming.com. You can always follow us on Twitter at FirstTBLGaming. You can follow me on Twitter at TiltedSimianFTG.
You can follow Stormy at StormyFTG.
And at Dragon STYK FTG.
Excellent. That's where you and Kurt's not here, but you can follow him at Destroyer Kurt. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Come back next week and join us, man. We're going to talk about some more shit, some more crazy shit, and some more stuff that you guys love. I don't know what we got on the pipe for next
probably
week.
porn.
Probably porn. Porn will definitely be here.
Curtis will be back, so there will be porn.
Kurt will be back. So
I can't even say
Timmy.
porn right. Jesus,
what the fuck?
fuck.
Are you sick? Like, how can you not say porn? How can you, especially not say porn? Anyways, thanks
I
for joining
love
us,
my
people.
porn.
Come back again next week. We'll see you then. Later, nerds.
Nerd out.
That was good, man. That was good.
Well, that's it for this installment of the Lunatic Parade podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to middle-aged white guys shoot their mouth off about nerdy crap. See you next week.